Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
good
so excited
morning.
to do this with you, Kim.
I know, me too. Me too.
Yeah. We got to talk together and kind of have a one-on-one, get acquainted. Gosh, I don't even know, a couple of months ago, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, I'm in Austin, Texas. You're in San Diego or just outside
Mhm.
of San
San
Diego?
Diego. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And even though our stories are very different in the book, and what we both do in our work lives are very different, we found a lot of crossover on, our values and what we care about and why we're doing what we're doing and, what we're trying to change in the world, making it a better place. And that was just so cool. And I know one of these days, knock on wood, I'm going to get over to your neck of the woods and maybe,
Yes.
maybe we'll do a local book launch event there or something. It'd be
That would be so fun, Sandy.
so fun.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's so fun to meet women from around the country through this process. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Now, this is your first book with Stewart Press, right?
Yeah, it's my
Is this
first.
your first time
It's
to
my
ever be
first. I
published?
have it right here. It's my first, yes, it's my first time to be published in a book. I've written for many years, but never anything like this. So never
Yeah,
published in a book. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
it's
congratulations. You are
thank
officially a
you.
published author.
Yeah, thank you. And you're a three-time.
This is my third.
Amazing.
Yeah, and every time it does the excitement and the buildup and the, blood, sweat, and tears into the work, and none of it gets less.
I know. I tell you, I was telling you right before we went live that we sent our newsletter out from the Kinship Fund this morning to like almost 800 people, and we had like this weird extra space in the link and broke the Amazon link. So that's the kind of stuff that I just I like I would give anyone else grace, but I can't give myself grace. I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's like no one else cares. Like we're just gonna send it
Yeah.
out again and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
But
reminds me of that part of my personality that doesn't like to make mistakes, which is
oh my God.
actually like we have to fail, right? If we're gonna
Yeah.
fail forward, if we're gonna
Yeah.
do new things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I love your chapter. And by the way, you are the very first chapter, aren't you?
I know, that's crazy. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's a strong chapter. I mean, you got to start a book with the strong chapter, right? So I think I think it was perfect. And I was actually, because I'm at Maeve House and just talking to Sierra, and there's some similarities between both of y'all's chapters because you both lost someone dear to you, which was a catalyst for a big change in your lives. And both of those stories are very, very different, and what that catalyst led you both to was very, very different. But I love that I think she's the second. Yeah, she's the second chapter. So y'all are
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Boom,
such
boom.
a great, powerful to the book.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because this story is so personal and it's certainly not a secret, but because it's tied into my work, it's been interesting to evaluate like this moment and how it feels because those closest to me know the whole story.
Yeah.
But I really entered the philanthropic space and the San Diego Foundation space as a newbie because
Mm,
I was in the nonprofit space, but in a very specific sector of anti-trafficking. And so I didn't know a lot of people. And so I've been getting to know people at 57, like fourth career kind of shift. And I never led with the story.
mm,
And I've thought a lot about that. Like, and I think part of it, I'm just gonna be super straight and transparent here because that's sort of how I roll. But
yeah.
I think I realized that I wasn't leading with this story because I was bringing something with me from my last role. My last role was really meaningful, but also the hardest time of my life. And I always felt like I was having to prove myself
Uh-huh.
to move things forward. And so I think I brought that little piece of me into this space of like, well, if I tell them how this all started, I'm not gonna be credible. Like they'll be like, oh, she just got money from a friend. What's the big deal? So I really, this story blasts that open, which is going to lead me to a question I have for you, because I had had a really dear friend who is my journalism professor, Dr. Dean Nelson, tell me when I left the university, where he still leads the journalism program. I told him the story, and he's like, "You have got to write this story, Kim." And he knew
Mm.
I've always been a writer, and he said, "But it's so personal. I don't know how you'll do it." And I have had that in my head all this time, and I've had multiple people tell me, like, "You have to write this story."
Oh, wow.
So when I set out to write it, I wasn't sure how it would tie into the foundation and the work we're doing at the Kinship Fund. But what I realized as I wrote it was it's completely paralleled. Like
Yeah.
everything about Nancy and her rebellious nature and my relationship with her is exactly paralleled in how I'm trying to disrupt the philanthropic space and do grant making differently than I experienced it as a nonprofit leader. Like all of them, like, oh, okay, Nancy, you're still like, I was thinking this morning, like, you're still talking to me every day. Like all those
Oh,
days when I like didn't want to talk to you
yeah.
and you're still here.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I've been, it's almost 25 years now that I've been coaching and training and consulting with businesses, small business, mid-market, privately held companies. And I am innately always curious about an origin story of a business. And so I was completely sucked in, to what kind of went down for you with this amazing story, but then how it actually led you into the philanthropic work that you're doing now. And it was just really, really, really inspiring. I love one of the things you said is these days I pour my energy through a single filter that Nancy taught me, seeing people, not projects, relationships, not transactions. And I felt like that was like such a sum up of, what I learned from you about the work that you're doing and why it's really important. And I feel like that was the Venn diagram between us of like where we
yeah.
cross over is that, people, not projects, and relationships, not transactions. I love that.
Yeah. And I couldn't have told you even 6 months ago that I would have seen that as something Nancy taught me. That's what's been so
Mm,
interesting about writing this story is it's really helped me um, it's really helped me digest like that whole friendship and relationship and then how it ended with her death and realize how much it imprinted on me. And the things I took from her that I didn't realize I was learning from her because I was 25 when I met her. We were brand new, newlyweds, moved in across the street, and she watched me live 30 years of life, and I don't think I realized the thing she was teaching me until I put it down in writing and saw, oh, okay, I know at my core that is who I am. That I am. It's like relationships first always, but
yeah.
I wouldn't have credited her with being one of my teachers for that. So that's been and also the rebel part. Like I feel like such a rebel in this space. I'm like a disruptor, and I kind of am in any space I'm in, but I think, oh yeah, that is totally her. She
Yeah.
just plays through. But I want to talk to you about your chapter because you came forward with a full story that you hadn't shared publicly before. So that was with your profile and how you've built and led companies and you're out there all over the place. Like this was a big step for you to put
Yes.
this story on the table. So how did that feel to take that
Very scary.
leap? Yeah.
I feel like at first it was almost like a cathartic dumping out of this. I mean, to be frank, I have done a lot of work on my mental health, my spiritual health, my self, to get to a point, past a lot of these things that have happened in my life, to get to a point that I could even talk. I mean, there was a time I could barely talk about it with a very, very close one-on-one friend without bawling,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
I had to get, I think I really had to get to a point, like do enough of the work around it all that I'm no longer in it, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talk about it with some kind of separation, because now it's like, yeah, these things happened to me. And it's funny, I'm just gonna go there, but
Let's
the
do it.
the when I got, so I've had two DWIs.
Mhm.
And and in my story, for those of you that have not read it yet, I talk about sobriety. It's not completely my sobriety story, but it's a very leading component. After my first DWI, I was so embarrassed. I was so
Mhm.
ashamed. I hated myself for it. And I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want anyone to know. And I didn't talk about it, which meant I was I had bottled up the shame and pushed it down. So I'm holding on to it even, and I'm like just trying to get through life and cope while this huge box of black shame is like dark and twisty and
Yeah, you're
and
carrying it behind you. Yeah.
yeah, and then it was 4.5 years later, I guess, I got my second DWI and I was like, ah, I can't do this again,
Yeah.
and in the state of Texas now, a third DUI is an automatic felony,
Oh,
like at
wow.
a starting point. And I was like, I cannot afford to do that. So at that point, I was like, okay, what am I going to do differently? I'm going to tell people. I'm going to try to like not sit in the shame of it this time. And every single person I told either said to me, it's happened to me, or it's happened to
Mhm.
someone I know, or it should have. I've done it and I didn't, nothing happened and I didn't get in trouble and I didn't wreck. And thankfully, I did not wreck or injure myself or anyone else, thankfully.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the same thing, I think, with all of these stories, is once I started talking about them well, journaling about them, working through them with therapists, um, working them through with I go to AA and I have a sponsor. But also just working them through with like individual one-on-one people, the more that happened, it begins to take the heat out of it all,
Mhm.
and it becomes easier to talk about. It begins to distance myself from those things. And it just makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
And also, don't you think it gives other people permission to be real also? Like when we're willing to be vulnerable, then that's like, oh, okay, maybe I can be too. So I've really found that like when we can expose those parts of us and even acknowledge the shame, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's like a freedom in that because I've been thinking like, oh, do I admit that I wasn't leading with this story because I wanted to be credible in this new space? Like, well, that is actually true to who I am. Like I want to keep being who I am. And I think
Yeah.
what I think is happening is it's building something for the kinship fund that I could not have built without that.
Mhm.
It's propelling it in a way that in and of myself, had I held on to that like story, it wouldn't have propelled it. And I wouldn't have ever known that that would happen because I didn't think, oh, well, the way it started and my friendship with Nancy is gonna make people want to hear more about our work and give money to the foundation and help us do more. But actually, um, it is a part. It's a big piece of it.
Yeah. 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 I think that it humanizes the work that you're doing. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. The other thing, Sandy, I neither of us talked about our health journey in the chapter, and I don't know if you want to go there or not, but I think I just one of the things I felt in commonality with you around is just being a strong, smart, accomplished woman, but having the work, whatever that looks like, make you sick. And that's something I'm really passionate about coming out the other side of a major health journey that fortunately, Nancy didn't have to see. Like it happened after she
Mm.
passed away. She would have not enjoyed that part.
Yeah.
But it was such a gift to me. It has become a gift to me because it opened my eyes to what was happening leading a nonprofit and letting the work
Yeah.
so meaningful take over and get sick because of it because I wasn't taking care of myself. And so that's part of what I brought into this space too, is just being really passionate about the well-being of nonprofit leaders.
Right.
And we don't really, we expect more with less resources from nonprofit leaders all the time, especially in the space we're in right now. And so even just like acknowledging that it broke me, the work broke me, and yet you can
Mm.
like rise out of it in a new way. So I don't know what you think of that.
Wow. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it that way. I hadn't said it with those exact words, but it's true. I like January of 2020, just prior to the pandemic, I hit like a major brick wall internally, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm,
And I had to go through a real period of, taking everything off and shedding so much. And that is it can be a really painful process, and it's taken a while, and I've had a lot of self-judgment of this is taking too long. I'm much more capable than this. I should be
yeah.
fine now. Like, come on. So I've done a lot of that over the last since the pandemic. And but quite frankly, it's sorry, I'm in a co-working space and there's some people in the
Having a
background.
good time.
Sorry about that. But it was really huge for me to get to a point where I could finally feel comfortable to do the work that I've been doing for a long time. There was a period of time where if I even thought about the work I used to do or had spoke the words, I just felt nauseous. I wanted to throw
Mhm.
up. And when I finally got to a point where I was able to have a conversation actually with an old client who sought me out on LinkedIn. And they were
Oh,
like, "Do you
wow.
still do this work?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Let's have that
wow.
conversation." And I
Yeah.
realized at the end of it, I didn't want to throw up.
Mm, wow.
I
Yeah.
know. I was like, I didn't have this like physical regurgitation and, something happening to try to keep me away from it. And I was like, I guess I'm healing. I guess that's what that means.
Yeah. And I think it's back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago with the transparency. Like that's part of it is acknowledging to others and to ourselves that limitations are like they're there for a reason. We should listen
Yeah.
to them. I didn't listen to
Yeah.
them for so long. It was like, oh, I'm just going to blast through this next barrier. I mean, I always like a good fight, but I really I was given the opportunity to make a big shift because I had
Yeah.
to pause and I had to reevaluate.
Yeah.
So it's been really powerful for me to come out of that and then come into this space on the other side of the table with nonprofits as partners and then really be able to approach them as partners because that's how I see
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to a friend last night. I think I still see myself as a nonprofit leader. And technically, the foundation is a nonprofit, but it's a very different power dynamic, obviously.
Yes.
So, but at my core, that's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love talking about the crossover that you and I both have around our value around community and unique partnerships and alliances in our communities to help everyone do more of what it is they're trying to do or how they're trying to change the world. And we're both doing it in very different ways,
Yeah.
but that is really like we're kind of on the same mission, and just achieving it in different ways. And I feel a kindred spirit with
Yeah.
you on that for sure, 100%.
Can I ask you, what are you hoping this? I mean, it's your third book, but what are you hoping being a part of this book is going to do for you personally and professionally?
I think part of this process for me was being vulnerable and getting it all out and saying, I'm going to I'm going to talk about who I am in my professional space as well as who I am in a personal space and like ha having done this, gone through this process, it allows it's it's not only allowing me, but I am taking the acceptance and the power that comes with that, like it's just putting me in a much more comfortable, easy place to be as genuine and open as humanly possible with all of my clients, my strategic partnerships, like everyone. And
Mhm.
it's such a different place to be. And I think it's really going to shift how I'm showing up in all of my work in every facet.
Yeah. And I bet you it's going to shift the trajectory of your work too in a positive way. Because I just think that's the kind of people that you would want to work with
Yeah.
are going to respond to that vulnerability and transparency and the realness. Like it's one of those things where at this age, it's like I don't have a lot of bandwidth to deal with people who don't align with values. And when you're
Yeah.
doing the kind of work you're doing, like even though you're out like getting clients, you still don't want to have a client that doesn't align. And this
Yeah.
getting even more clear and open and public about who you are, I think is just going to bring more aligned people your way. So I'm
Well, and
excited.
I think, I can't some of my stories kind of got cut because it's only one chapter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that got cut was that when I was 25 years ago, when I was starting out in this space, in this field of work, and I was learning from men. And they were smart, wicked smart. So like I've nothing negative to say about them. But one of the things that I learned on occasion from several of them, not all of them, but from several of them, was this idea of posturing. And they would curb the truth a little bit.
Mhm.
Like they wouldn't say a lie, but they would omit, it was all about like that making it look good, making themselves look better. And I just always felt really uncomfortable with that. It felt disingenuine, but also I was very young, learning, totally green. I didn't know any different. And so I learned that skill. And it now feels so gross to me that I really feel like being willing to go there with my own like, story, like no holds barred. Let me pull back the curtain. You can see everything. You know, th- I think that sets me up to be like, th-
Yeah.
this is the most, you're going to get
Yeah.
absolute, genuine, real,
Yeah. And that's, yeah. So you're going
and
to
that's
end
what
up
I
with,
want
right.
in
You're going to end up
others.
with clients that are willing to do that work themselves too. Yeah. It's funny. As you're saying that, I think about same, like I got my first promotion, 14 months out of college. I was promoted into a management position in the healthcare industry. I have, who knows why, like, I just had to fake it, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I really did learn, like, don't ever let them see you sweat. Like, never let them know that you don't know what you're doing. And I carried that with me for a long time. Then I had a marketing firm, but then when I went to the university space, I'm the only one there without a doctorate. Like, I'm from the outside, I'm from the business world. And it was like, all right, you got to put on your don't ever let them see you sweat thing. And you know what's so funny, Sandy, is now that I'm in another space with that, I don't live in that space anymore. But I have the funniest thing that keeps happening to me. It's I just thought of this. I when I speak, when I'm up in front of people, I'm not nervous. I love it. It's my favorite.
Mm.
But I have started this weird thing where I sweat, and it's like never had this before. It's not menopause. Like it's just this weird like it's like a nervous system reaction to having been in
Uh-huh.
fight flight freeze for so many years, and like I'm not in it anymore, but my body is still like, are we safe, are we?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
do this sweat thing, and it's like you can't hide it. Like I am like dripping in sweat, and I it just
Wow.
struck me like, oh, like I'm in this space now where it's like, all right, this is who I am and what I'm called to do and be in the world now, and you're
Yeah.
gonna just get to watch me sweat.
Yeah. This is what happens.
I don't like it, but you're gonna get to watch me. So, but I'm not sweating today, so that's
Yeah,
good.
there you go. Well, they say people like humans' number one biggest fear that is not dying, it's public speaking.
Oh yeah.
Number one
Yeah.
fear.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much
Thank
for taking some time
you.
today. And it's just so exciting that today's our launch
I
day.
know. It's really
Yay.
fun.
Yeah. Lots
And
of
you
fun
have the
things
physical
happening.
one yet? I know it's not, the physical book
Mm,
doesn't come out for a couple of days, but we were given permission to buy a couple, so I
yeah.
did. Because I
Yeah.
am a book, as you can see, that's not fake. I'm a book person. I love to actually touch and feel the book. So yes, you can get the digital version today. But if you like books, that I think it'll be in the next couple of days that'll come out. So
It could be, yeah, the next few days up to a week, I think. So
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll be posting when it's available
Yeah.
for purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thanks,
thank you
Amy.
again so much,
Yeah, thank
Kim. I've
you.
enjoyed getting to know you and being a part of this
Yeah.
project with you.
Look forward to what's next and watching you.
Oh, and you.
Okay.
I've got my eye on you.
Yeah, same.
All
Okay. Have a
right,
great
sounds
day.
good. Okay, you too.
Bye.